Hi there. I've been messing with some custom doors in Space Engineers. Yours are roughly in the order I built them. Here I have a couple of iris doors, and I built some sliding ones. They don't differ that much, but I'll go over the details a bit later. None of these doors are airtight, so they're mostly for cosmetic purposes, although I might look into airtight custom doors in the future. Then I built one large project and then finished off with some simple designs. I might have said I was done with the circles, but I did use a few to make some circular doors. Sadly, the slopes don't back a circle fully, so this isn't perfect, but it's quite nice. Here's one with some rotating bits. This closes almost fully, leaves this tiny hole in the middle. This one's quite chunky. This is the same design, but it's slimmed down a bit. It uses half armor blocks here for the petals. It has a slightly bigger hole in the middle. Then I began testing with some sliding doors. Then I made a much bigger one. Then I made this latching mechanism. Then I made a bit more complicated version of the previous door with the latching mechanism. It's nice that you don't have to add any sparks or other effects to the doors, since the game gives you them for free. Then I tried to make the doors a bit more compact, so they don't need so much space on the outside. Then I tried making some spinning latches. Here's another version. This is probably one of my own favorites. I used pistons at a 45-degree angle to get some pieces to slide in from the corners. Sadly, there's a tiny gap here, but I was able to cover it up with the armor plates. I'll skip this one for now. These were the last designs I made. Wanted to try to make a door that like fits inside the hallway, so it doesn't have any protruding parts. Here's a slightly improved version of the previous door. These are flush with the walls. Have some windows here on the outside. For some reason the other side's more likely to get stuck. I'm not sure why. Should be symmetrical. Maybe I'll up the torque a bit. It's already quite high, but there you go. Then for the main project, I wanted to try what sort of door I could make that integrates large and small grid. This has a connector on the bottom that connects the small grid to the large grid. I can show them separately. Detach the connecting rotor. Here you can see it. This is the door mechanism. Show it to you in action. I tried to combine everything I learned from doing the smaller doors. It's slightly clustered, but I think it looks quite nice. It has the same mechanisms on the other side. Although you can't make the border between large and small grid airtight, this has almost no holes. There are these tiny holes here. I couldn't get closed without them biting with these lower latches. Otherwise it's quite seamless. Like I said, you don't need to add any sparks or other special effects, since the game gives you them for free. These lower latches have these blades that rise up from the ground to cover up the hole. I used some landing gears here on the top to add some additional support. This build doesn't like when you copy it while the door's closed. Here are a few tricks I had to use when building these doors. If you have a problem where grids stick together when blueprinting, for example this cover stuck to these blocks here, but I added these small armor plate pieces that prevented, since it would have to occupy the same block. I also placed some armor plates here to prevent these blocks from sticking to it. Although after I did that, I switched the side of these armor plates, so it shouldn't be an issue anymore. These latches also stuck to the blocks behind them, so I set their angle so they don't close completely. They're like 2 or 3 degrees off the 90-degree angle. This prevents them sticking together. Pistons that raise up these covers have a different minimum height when the doors open versus when the doors closed. This can be automatically done by having each of the timers that controls the opening and closing of the door also change the minimum or maximum distance of your pistons or other actuators. So, for example, when closing the door, each of these timers changes the spin lock cover piston minimum distance, and then when opening it, they change it to the other direction. As long as you have as many timer blocks changing it in one direction as to the other, you'll end up with the same distance after each run. Uh-oh. Remember to turn on those shear inertia tensors. If you used a rotor to connect the large and small grid together, you can play with the rotor displacement to get some pieces to fit together you wouldn't otherwise be able to fit. For example, I used the rotor displacement to get these landing gears close enough to the blocks above to lock them in place. I noticed these curved pieces have an actual use in sliding doors. They prevent the doors from jamming. You're sliding a grid through a hole that's as wide as the grid, so I have them on this side, for example. They are also quite useful when you have grids turning in close proximity. Many times if you're building stuff from multiple grids, you run into problems where you can't place the blocks you want. So remember, you can usually build the grids out of place and then just move them in place with some pistons or other stuff. This one's a bit sticky, but you get the idea. Thank you for watching. I hope you got some ideas from these builds. Be sure to check out my channel for other weird content. Bye bye.